Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to RLCS Overtime, your one-stop shop for all things Rocket League eSports and RLCS. That all sounds kind of redundant, you know? Because you say RLCS Overtime, then you say one-stop shop for RLCS.
I actually just call it
But it's
overtime.
RLCS Overtime.
I forgot that it was RLCS Overtime.
It certainly is. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last episode of this show for the foreseeable future, and it's been a great run, but this is how it's going to end. I'm your host, Wave Punk, and I got the two Pink Panthers here with me. You guys are matching.
Hey, that was an accident.
Looking great, right?
I figured I'd wear like a nice saucy shirt today, like it's a little pinkish, and then he pulled his shirt out. I'm like, dang it, I'm not unique anymore, but it's cool. You're looking good, Quinn.
Thanks, you too.
You're looking good.
Oh.
Unlike this guy.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Just trash talking right off the bat here. Nothing's changed in 35 episodes. Folks, we're going to do the quick chat, but you know, it's going to be kind of just a nice reminiscing on this entire season of Rocket League, the entire season. So it'll be kind of more of like it's not quick chat. It's like a walking chat. I don't know. Just like, you know, we're not
A
striding chat.
A light jogging chat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
A what?
A brisk chat?
A brisk, yeah.
A brisk chat. There we go. Perfect. Love it. Let's talk about, speaking of brisk, Season 3 was characterized by a lot of brisk stuff all over the place. And there was a lot of just great Rocket League that happened as well. It was characterized, G2 didn't make it to LAN. Iris was a team that we were super hyped up on that didn't make it into the qualifiers. It was a crazy season.
I mean, just that upset, and you see what Iris has become. For those of you for the uninitiated, it is Cloud9 now.
Yep.
So clearly they've done something to change whatever went wrong.
And Lichinio as well. I mean, like,
Yeah, Lichinio was part of that
everybody
team as well.
from Iris who just didn't make it, Crash and Burned, is now in RLCS.
Yeah.
They certainly are there.
What was the other one you said?
G2 didn't make it to LAN, which
Oh, yeah.
sort of like happened in Season 2 as well. This was the season where it was like, okay, Season 2 wasn't a fluke. G2's got some stuff to figure out. They didn't make it into LAN. What are they going to do? Are they going to make any roster changes, you know? And they stick together. And what's crazy is that, like, you know, that was how the G2 season started. And now, you know, months and months and months later, here at the end of the year, we can see they've finally gotten a huge victory at E-League and stuff. And it's been a crazy ride just to watch G2's progression through this entire 2017.
Well, I think the biggest thing is they started off so strong. Right off the bat, we're like, G2, this is it. This is their season. And it was like, maybe not. And then, like, definitely not when they didn't make LAN. It was actually, like, a really big deal. And then that actually, like, really solidified that story of, like, are they ever going to make it back? Because, like, again, they managed to let us all down. But this time, they finally picked it up, you know? But I guess we're talking Season 3. We'll get to Season 4 soon.
Yeah, we'll talk about season. Let's talk about the seasons as we go. You know, it's just reminiscing. One of the other big things that happened in Season 3, OCE showing up for the first time. This was the first time we saw the OCE region competing, and they did not disappoint.
No, not really at all. I mean,
They made it exciting.
They took out Denial. That was a huge upset. We got to see James get pied.
Yes.
That was actually the best part.
That was great. That was
That was not an upset.
Highlight of the year for sure, right? And then just being able to see them go from taking that one win against Denial, which people kind of didn't really give them credit for. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of was agreeing with those people when I thought it was a bit of a fluke, but obviously that's Season 4 we'll talk about later. I mean, they showed it wasn't just, it wasn't a fluke.
And I think, honestly, my favorite part of that entire season was the Resonant and Flipside game in the regional finals. I think I was with Leaf.
I think it was.
I was casting with Leaf for that game. I hadn't lost my voice in almost a year because I finally trained myself. And that day I lost my voice. It was just the most ridiculous game. I think it was like a Game 5 overtime that finally settled it. To the literal last second, it was like one of those like love-hate things. Like, oh, it's so cool to see Flipside make it through, but Resonant, no.
Yeah.
You were so close.
It would have been pretty cool. And Resonant is what is now known as Method. Yeah. Pretty sure. So like that was a season like they originally, I think they were called Secrecy at the beginning, got picked up by Resonant eSports, stuck with them. Resonant eSports like goes away. They just held on to the name for a while because why not? And everyone's like, they're kind of those like, oh, we didn't expect them to be here teams. And now they're arguably, not arguably even, like undisputedly one of the top 3 teams in the world.
Yeah, and clearly Flipside is not anymore.
Yeah.
So what happened in that series?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, seriously, it's kind of crazy, actually. It's the meteoric decline of Flipside.
I mean, you can't sugarcoat it anymore.
Meteor is a good way to describe it.
Because it really just crashed and burned. Yeah, exactly.
It has been rough. Flipside's had a bit of a rough year here. As season 2017 has kind of been characterized, we've said it a few times, by like a changing of the guard. The teams that were the old dynasties have now fallen off and are going to have to fight back up through these new titans that have shown up, and it's been great. So season 3 ending, you want to talk about, again, things that were kind of unexpected, but not quite a change in the guard yet. The finals there going to be taken by Northern Gaming, playing with the sub Turbo Pulsa. Turbo Pulsa has become maybe the forefront, the poster child of this new guard that has shown up as he is now two-time world championship. This was his first time.
And we talked about it a billion times, and I actually saw like multiple comments. I'm like, can they please stop talking about the fact that Turbo Pulsa is a sub? We got it.
Yeah.
We get it. He's a sub. But it was just that mind-blowing to us because our biggest thing we talk about in Rocket League is your starting roster. If you have to use a sub, you're pretty much going to lose.
Huge disadvantage.
And that's because you just don't have time to play with your sub. This game doesn't really, the style and the way that we compete, there's not a lot of time to play with a fourth. You need to put as much time as possible with your main roster. And the fact that they're just like, meh, and they went into the regional finals with him, lost pretty badly, didn't do great in the third, fourth place game, came last seed going into it from the European region. And then they stuck with Turbo, and they're like, well, I mean, I guess we should win. Yeah. Because why the hell not?
Well, it kind of happened last second. I mean, really, I think it kind of worked out to Turbo's advantage. He didn't have time to overthink it. He just jump in, take the game from Maestro. Maestro announcing last second he had his exams to take care of. He couldn't come to RLCS. Everybody was surprised because Maestro, a staple of that team. I mean, Remco and Maestro were like the duo of Northern Gaming at the time. And for Turbo to just come in, it really worked out for them.
So, and moving forward there, Turbo gets that win and then immediately actually leaves the roster, joins up with Gale Force. And this kind of leads us into our Summer of LANs. So we have just a bunch of different events with DreamHack, with X Games, and just all these different events all over the place that people got to compete in. The first one, I believe the first one, timelines can be confusing. Pretty sure the first one was DreamHack Sweden, where we saw Flipside actually get the victory and be like, okay, cool. They just had kind of a rough end to season 3.
Well, that was their first appearance with Mystic as well.
That was, that was the first time they were playing with Mystic. They get that win. That's kind of the last thing we saw Flipside actually do. But Gale Force made it to the finals there. And this started the run of Gale Force coming in second in a whole bunch of events.
Oh yeah, and then we had X Games, I think it was next. Second place for Gale Force, and then following X Games, we was straight to NBC, which again, Gale Force actually broke their second place. Was that?
No, that was
NBC.
Universal Open, Gale Force won, but it was a 2v2 event, so it was a little bit different. And right before that, they'd had DreamHack Atlanta, where they came in second to Muffin Men, formerly known, or Muffin Men now known as Cloud9. So just second over and over and over again. Different victories at all of those different lands too. They really
Energy at X Games.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Energy winning X Games, which then brought us with the thought process of, all right, we know they struggle at lands. Clearly, they've broken through that. And then clearly they did. So maybe it's not a pattern. Maybe it's just like an on or off day.
Well, they had the X Games, and then they were also in the. No, they made it to the. I was going to say they were in the finals. They weren't in the finals. They were in the semifinals of Universal Open. Sizzle or Cobb. And there's another team we want to talk about that was big place. Rogue was this amazing. Everyone loved them in season 3. Didn't have necessarily the best performance, but it was a pretty good performance. And then just slowly, it was this Summer of LANs that I feel like kind of put the nail in the coffin on that Rogue roster, as they just consistently had results that they were not happy with.
And it's just a shame to watch any team break up, especially when they're just such a so driven by personality. They were so much fun. Season 3, it was hard not to feel the electricity from the crowd whenever Rogue came out. I mean, they had so much at their back, and that's just so cool to watch. Especially because Rocket League in general is a pretty new esport, and seeing finally somebody a team get that much out of an audience was such a big deal.
They're such great friends that you can immediately see the joy on their face whenever they would win, when they would come out. They were just so happy to be playing together and succeeding that I really think it helped them, that momentum from the emotion.
For sure. Well, and summer was awesome, lots of great events, but then season 4 rolls around, new format, new franchising style of system where teams get to keep their spots, and there's now a relegation league. Lots of things changed there, and as we get into the World Finals, similar storylines that we've seen in previous Rocket League events show back up. Chiefs, formerly known as Alpha Sydney, got the defeat on Denial, now getting to the defeat, maybe the biggest upset we've ever seen in Rocket League history over NRG. And this was exactly what you say. Energy were oh, they got a win in the summer, had some good performances, maybe they're really hot. Back to the way that things used to be, where they're just dropping out in the very beginning of the LAN.
Yeah, I remember this series so well. I was casting it, and oh boy, it ripped my voice. Yeah. I could not believe just the success that they were having here. Chiefs against Energy, a team that has been the NA regional champs 3 times in a row, and then also having a pretty successful, I thought, regional run again in their 4th season. It felt like Energy kind of had. This was their moment to come through and be successful. This was the land where they didn't have all the pressure of being the best NA team and having to carry an entire region, and Chiefs just coming out of nowhere and showing they can play.
And while you can definitely probably say NRG clearly weren't playing to their prime, it doesn't matter. Just watching all these replays from how the Chiefs scored, it was always something super cool, unique, and very difficult to deal with as a defender. So even if NRG were playing in their prime, there's a really good chance the Chiefs would have at least put a huge fight up for it and could have still taken the series. So I don't even want to use that argument of, when you talk about the OCE region, that they struggle with having a lot of competition throughout the year because their region is so isolated, and only now 3 of their teams have ever been to a LAN outside of their own region.
And in some ways, they are taking up a mantle that NRG has borne for a long time of being the only team on the national stage that really can rep and hang with the big dogs, And now NRG, while they had a lackluster performance, this is maybe the most justifiable lackluster performance because every team at this World Championship was so good, and just the fact that they came in last more is a testament to how good everybody else is than there's some problem on the side of NRG, but they do have to kind of step it up because everyone's getting so much better. And speaking of people supplanting them, to the new guard showing up, Cloud9 here, the new Kings of the North, a crazy run coming in 3rd as they went all the way through the lower bracket, getting wins just left and right.
I think it's kind of almost easy to forget that they came in 3rd place because I know in the beginning they were very slow to ramp up. They ended up in the lower bracket pretty early on.
Day one, I think.
Day 1 they were in the lower bracket. So it was easy for us to think oh man, Cloud9 have crumbled. And clearly they didn't, though. They came 3rd in the world.
Well, their first game was PSG.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just there is no bad team here. Somebody has to lose, and they're like, okay, cool, we'll go down to the lower bracket and knock people out there.
In Game 5, by the way, that was already an incredible series of PSG, Cloud9, and it's so easy to forget just Cloud9, especially coming off of such a really horrible previous season, making a small roster change, just winning 1 tournament, coming away over here. I think for them, they thought that this was an upset. A lot of people had Cloud9 winning the whole tournament, but it's really just, we said before, the skill level of all teams increasing so much. You can't ever be disappointed with a 3rd place finish. And so many rookies on that team as well. 2 rookies. It's just so hard to really be upset with Cloud9.
Yeah, and I mean, again, just continuing to talk about North America had teams here in droves. G2 shows up, has just a great run that very much redeemed their roster. Gave them something that they could hang their hat on, say, we came in 4th, we did well. And they're going to try and replicate it as they move forward. Got the victory at E-League as well after this, so G2 feeling really good.
I don't know if I was the only one a little scared that if G2 did not perform this season, that might be the end of some.
Cronovia had said that. Cronovia had said if it had gone poorly, he was just going to hang it up.
Yeah, and honestly, it's got to be frustrating, especially when you know you used to be at the top. That is actually one of the most frustrating things to do. When you play so well, you are at the top. You are the one that's setting trends. You're the one that's teaching people how to play, and then all of a sudden you become the one that everyone always makes the storyline of ha ha ha, is he ever gonna make it?
Yeah.
And that's gotta hurt so much. So it was just so. I mean, it's obviously he got the award at the end of the year.
Yeah, the community award.
The community award. So we obviously know he's a great person, but the fact that he was able to still drive with his team, I love that JNAPS and Rizzo stuck with him. That they really worked as a whole roster. I know Rizzo's had his own battles. He kind of wanted to hang it up somewhere in season 2 as well. But they've all this is a team of people that have fought through the difficulties and finally found themselves in a good spot.
They sure did. Got pretty far there in the championship. Was great to see them play, and then they had a great performance at E-League, so they feel very well. And we'll get to hear some of Cronovi's thoughts on that after the break. But talking about just, lastly, quickly before we go to break, talking about the finals here, one of the biggest, most interesting things about these finals to me, first sweep we've ever had in the World Championship Finals.
Yeah, I think that also could have been a little bit of a product of just the way that it turned out. Method needing to be on stage for almost upwards of 3 hours.
Marathon.
I don't know. I mean, this is already a game where clearly an entire series can be determined by just, are you thinking, are you on, right? Is your brain flipped on? And then you can easily get burnt out by doing that too long. But to do it for 3 series in a row, the first one being the most intense one, Game 7 upper finals, and then right underneath it, they had to go against Cloud9. I can't imagine.
Absolutely. Well, guys, it was a crazy season of Rocket League, and we've got so much more ahead of us in 2018. Can't wait to see that. But before we do that, we got one more episode of Overtime here to finish. It's been a great quick chat. When we come back in a 1v1 with Cronovi, going to talk to him, hear his thoughts on E-League, how all that went down. We'll have that and more after the break.